I want to know, like,
Yeah.
my first thing that I want to know is how you started as a developer in the AR and the VR space. Like, how did you get into that? How did you know that, okay, this is my career, this is what I'm going to be pursuing?
I went to school and studied IT. So that's my background. I studied, information technology, specialized in multimedia. So because of that, multimedia is just basically focusing on the multimedia element of IT, which largely touches on like graphic design, game design, and all that kind of stuff. So 3D modeling, all those things in IT. So by virtue of doing that, was drawn to this world, like the augmented reality world, because it's created. So yeah, I went to study IT, and then after Scala, went and started at Africantechnopreneurs, which was in early 2020. Yeah, 2020 Jan.
So how we got started, I don't know if Given has maybe elaborated on how we even started working at Africantechnopreneurs.
No, I didn't dive into that. I just basically gave background about what I did prior and started there, and taking that AR VR route and just primarily focused.
So how I ended up working at Africantechno, getting started in VR, I have a traditional software background. So when I say traditional, your usual web apps, PC apps, and cell phone apps. And that's what I primarily studied at school. I studied at the Belgium campus. How I actually got started was through Twitter. So I met Daliso some like 2 years or a year and a half prior to me actually starting here. And Dee had posted a tweet around the VR and actually wanting to hire some peeps. And I just sent a tweet and like, yo, plug a brother. And then that's where it started, just went into this rabbit hole, which is VR. And then I think the first thing was just adjusting to the new platforms. And because me coming from a traditional background, I think the creative mediums like Unity, Unreal, it's something I've heard of, but not necessarily dived into. It just seemed like so, I wouldn't say gimmicky, but it just seemed so out of my space at the time. So getting started with some tutorials, a whole lot of failing. I think that's the primary thing that you try.
Yeah, a whole lot of failing.
A lot of failing where, like, I think the first task we were tasked with was to complete a tutorial. The tutorial was, I think it was 23 hours or something like to complete the tutorial. And it took Given and I was it like 2 months or something like that, just to get
it was over a month.
Project. Yeah, just to get the project even halfway. And even then it was crashing. We had issues with this purple screen, specific mechanics not working and so forth. So it's really just been a journey of trial and error. And then a typical day in Africantechno is is not the same as the next day, because every day you have to play multiple roles. Yes, in your role of software dev, but also assisting in other things, because we are a small company, so you have to wear multiple hats. So I wouldn't say every day is the same as the next day. Some days are boring, but most days are pretty exciting, challenging. You just have to always kind of step out of your comfort zone. I think for me, which has been really beneficial, is kind of understanding OOP, so object-oriented programming, and also event-driven programming, stuff like that. I think that's been something. But also, Given's also been a big help, some of the stuff, because he has experience in game dev. He's just also been a person to help out.
Yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to know, Given, can you explain like what Africantechno does, especially when it comes to clients, and just like the projects that you guys have worked on when it comes to other people, like third parties?
We are primarily a hardware company, like a company that largely deals with providing hardware, AR, VR hardware. So that's largely what we do. That's largely the service we provide to clients. So the software development side is something that is relatively new. I think this is like the second year of doing that. I'll start with something that we recently did for an artist that was launching a limited edition clothing. I don't know if I'm describing this correctly. It was a clothing line, or not clothing line, but rather clothing items, like maybe 30 t-shirts, I think. They're launching a range of 30 t-shirts, limited edition t-shirts. And we did augmented reality for those t-shirts for the experience on the launch. So essentially when you were at the event, you could get to experience the t-shirt, like augmented reality on the t-shirts. And that way, users they got a chance to, I don't know, get more information on the product, get a bit more background by reading what, has been augmented on the cell phone screens, and you get to be informed about the items that you're wearing. Because these were not just t-shirts, they were just essentially art pieces.
So primarily some of the stuff that we do, because we primarily deal with hardware, we do dev relations in a way, in the sense of some of our clients, we source the hardware for them, and then they would be interested in maybe a particular software that could maybe enhance or they would use with that specific hardware. So because our team is fairly small, and also not to underestimate our own abilities, but also fairly underexperienced in the specific field, we deal with some of our partners in the community. So when I speak of the community, I'm speaking about the We Are VR community. So we work hand in hand with some of the guys who are in the community and build solutions around there. So that's primarily what we do. So for example, recently there were guys who wanted the HoloLens. So the HoloLens is a XR headset that Microsoft developed, and it currently doesn't ship to South Africa. So what we did is that we actually found a way around that, so that to make it available to South African market, and then been able to couple it up with some solutions for different companies. So some of the solutions have been around Microsoft 365. Some have been around Azure, Microsoft Azure, spatial anchoring, Microsoft Azure, mesh, stuff like that. So we tried to pivot or leverage the hardware that we sell to kind of develop and sell custom software solutions for our clients. So also leveraging with our community.
Wow, my mic was on mute. Yeah, no, I understand what you mean. How's your experience basically working?
Happens to the best of us.
My
No,
experience is constantly learning, because not to sound maybe a bit modest, but sometimes you feel imposter syndrome. I think there's a guy who on Twitter one time, he was talking about this on Twitter Spaces. He was just talking about how when you get into a specific field, you might be overwhelmed by the terminology or the people around you, and you feel like you don't deserve to be there. You kind of feel like an imposter. So I feel sometimes we do have that aspect of feeling like imposters, but I think we're also getting over that, because the more we deep dive in the technology that we're working in, and the more our understanding and also our experience grows.
given how has your experience been like working in a startup environment, working with AR and VR? Like, do you also feel that type of beginner's imposter syndrome?
I feel like a lot of us feel that because it's a new space, and the fact that this is a relatively new technology that also doesn't help. So a lot of the times you're met with, we just say, new terminology, you're met with new technology that you might not be aware of, or just certain, like for example, you could be well versed in the development side, like making sure that softwares land on this thing, or building softwares for this device, but like you might not be so well versed about the actual device. So someone would ask you about specs, and because of that, you might feel like, oh, okay, I don't have adequate information around this thing. Do I even know what I'm doing? And you start, feeling like an imposter. But it is like I said, it's an industry. There's a lot of different elements to it. And because of that, you just gotta find like where you fit, focus on that, focus on what you're good at. And the more you create, the more like things get better all the time. But I've been finding the space really great. It's been a great change. And yeah, the space that I've been in here. And like Buzwe said, starting out was like a difficult process. Even though I was transitioning from traditional game development, learning things like AR, which is something that was not there. You're not taught that thing. You have to learn all of that stuff yourself. It's just could be quite a difficult task. And the fact that you are used to using traditional platforms that everyone is using, and now you have to be onboarded on these new platforms, these new softwares that are that people use to develop for this specific new technology becomes a bit of a challenge. And the fact that there's very limited information online, because like I said, this is a relatively new industry, so there's not that much to learn about online. So it's probably why we also try making like videos around this, hosting events around this, and so that people are more aware and people are more exposed to it, and they at least don't have to go through what we went through when we were starting out, and find a bit more channels for information. So yeah, to shortly answer your question, the experience has been great.
What is like the one interesting thing that you've seen people use in their marketing that integrates AR and VR?
Can I go first, the given?
Yeah, sure.
So I think something that is really interesting and maybe been a powerful tool is something like Shopify. I don't know if you attended the last AT Hangouts where Deliso were just talking about getting started with the e-commerce store and so forth. But Shopify has really this AI, or not AI, but this augmented reality feature where you're able to load up 3D objects of whatever you're selling. So people can actually view that into real space. I think that's actually one of the innovative and groundbreaking e-commerce tools that kind of maybe leaped or fast forwarded e-commerce so far, because now it takes you going to the shop to experience something to actually your own home. So if you want to see that couch and how it's going to fit into your house or your room or whatever, you could actually see it in real space. If that lamp or so forth, or those kicks, if you want to see them, how they're going to fit on you and how they're going to look with that specific outfit, you can actually achieve that. So I think that's been one of the most groundbreaking tools when it comes to VR and AR, in my perspective.
I think that's great, actually. What you just mentioned is great. Shopify has like given users like so much convenience, and it is one of those platforms that people use them like, shit, this is some cool AR stuff. But another thing that I feel, this is gonna sound a bit somehow, but cell phones. I feel like we don't give cell phones enough recognition for like the progress they've done over the past couple of years when it comes to incorporating AR, and even the groundwork they laid when it came to VR with the Google Cardboard and what is that? Samsung Gear VR. They laid so much groundwork when it comes to people having access to VR technology and people being aware of what VR is and what happens there and what can be accomplished should the technology keep getting better over the years. So cell phones have played a huge role in introducing a lot of us into that realm of being. And then with the launch of Snapchat, most of us experiencing AR was, through Snapchat. And the users have just increased exponentially over time, which just means like more people get exposed to augmented reality technology. People are not aware that what we are doing is augmented reality when they use those face filters and stuff like that. But it just shows that, you know, AR is slowly becoming a part of our everyday life in a way that we don't even like have to have conversations about it, because it just happens so organically. You know, you don't have to put a label on this thing that we do. It's just like, oh yeah, and this might happen later on with like maybe platforms like Shopify shops, where someone just, it reaches a point where it becomes a standard that you can actually see products that you want to buy before you actually buy them. Like you can actually fit the couch in your own living room before you order the thing online. So yeah, I feel like for me, cell phones played a huge role into that. And also maybe a biased answer would be the HoloLens 2, because that's something that recently started playing with like a couple of months ago. And it's such a great device. So it shows you what more can be accomplished if like this technology keeps getting better.
Like, because I'm trying
So,
to
so
think
I,
which company has done like something innovative in South Africa though.
Ooh,
I
okay.
think okay. There's a few. I think just to sorry to interject there, Given, but there's a few. If you look at what Given spoke about with Snapchat, there's a lot of South African companies that are actually using Snapchat to reach their customers, like FNB, Standard Bank, De Beers, even Engen. Last year, Engen worked with a company, Zapworks, to create a marketing campaign to improve the sales of the people, the garage store, so the mini kiosk store in the garage. So to improve sales, so they were able to monitor interactions. They actually received, I think it was 50% increase in sales around that specific store. So Engen has used AR in that spectrum. So it's not as popular because I think there's other ones that even Given could touch on. The city of Cape Town, they also used some augmented reality filter when it came to tourism, showing the different hotspots. It's just that majority of this stuff is literally you have to be in the space to kind of hear about it, or you'll maybe stumble across it by chance. So I think that it goes back to what Given said about the market being quite small in South Africa and having to educate first before you can actually maybe show a person maybe the benefits of whatever you're selling.
There's a company in SA that made the first VR headset. What is it? I just forgot their name. I think it's Eden
Elan
Labs.
Labs.
I'm not
Yeah, Eden
mistaken.
Labs. Sorry, yeah, Eden Labs. Sorry, I bet.
Yeah, Eden Labs. So Eden Labs made a VR headset. I think that was a leap when it comes to VR technology in South Africa. And like Buzwe said, there was that Cape Town-based company. I also forgot their name. They made this augmented reality experience for tourists who would be experiencing Cape Town, so they can
Sea
check
Monster.
like Cape Town. Sea Monster, yeah, Sea Monster, so that people can experience Cape Town first in their living room on a tracked map before they can go outside and see what actually happens. So that gives users like a great, first experience of experiencing a city before you even go there. It gives users like a simple tour guide of what are the hotspots in the city, where can I go check out in person, should I get there, so you can access the app everywhere from comfort of your own home. You can get to see Cape Town in augmented reality before even going to Cape Town. So that's been great. There's also this company 24-bit games, which has they made a VR game called Gone. Gone is a VR game that was launched, I think, late last year or sometime early this year. So that's also a huge leap when it comes to VR development in South Africa. So the guys in South Africa are actually like doing a lot. If you attend events like Fabukezi, you get to experience a lot of augmented reality from different creators across South Africa. You get to see what level of creativity the guys are at, whether it comes, whether it's from just traditional development end of things or traditional game dev, Like people are just creating games that people are going to be experiencing in VR or AR, or whether it's just other, from a creative point of view, where people are creating art that we can engage with or experience in augmented reality in VR. So yeah, things like the Tomorrow Gallery. There's a whole digital art section at the Tomorrow Gallery where you can experience stuff in augmented reality and other forms of just digital media. So the space is doing a lot of stuff that is like just blowing me away. But I feel like there's more. I feel like there's more that can be done so long as like people get information around this kind of technology and then you are given access to this kind of technology.
Why do you feel like people aren't integrating AR and VR in their marketing camp? Is it expensive to do such? Like use equipment? Is it an
I think
thing or is
uh,
it just an information thing?
having new technology is always scary for everyone. Like introducing something new is hard. Like we are in 2021 and the idea of adopting tablets is still hard for a lot of schools because it's new technology, it's a new medium. So meaning that, people are always afraid to try the new thing. That's a very normal thing to understand, which is why we try so hard to educate the average person about the importance of using this kind of technology and try educate them about why this technology exists and what can be achieved with using this technology. And those are some of the stumbling blocks that we bump into when we pitch ideas to potential clients, because it's usually people that are just the next door kind of person and they aren't aware of where like tech is at where in regards to like VR and especially augmented reality. So you present them with this thing, which is like just so cool and whatever. To them, it just seems like, but no, who's gonna use this thing? If I don't know about this, that means Tabo doesn't know about this. That means Tabo doesn't know about this. So like, why would we use this thing? But I do also feel like, however, it's getting better, and little things like the filters on Snapchat, like banks using filters on Snapchat to market to people. There were is using, filters to market to people. I saw a Mandela filter the other time, where high tech was, marketing on Snapchat. So when you see such things, it kind of makes you realize that, okay, such things are being adopted. It's just that maybe I guess it's only a matter of time till all of that just trickles down to like smaller businesses and like SMEs and stuff, that they would feel more comfortable incorporating like new technology into their marketing.
Kind of, as you said, it's scary for a lot of people because the primary thing, or when we have meetings, everyone asks, what's the return on investment? So if I give you 50,000, how much am I getting back of this 50,000? Am I even going to make the 50,000 back? So it's truly making people understand that this actually offers value to your customers and also you as a entity or as a business.
But lastly, just your top equipment that you feel like people should start getting used to right now.
Can I go first? Given I was going to say, firstly, cell phones. I think cell phones are really important. I think that's something that Given even touched on. If you could get yourself maybe a
Facts.
mid-level phone, which allows you to be able to experience augmented reality outside of just the platforms like maybe Snapchat and Instagram, but on your actual phone, the hardware supporting it. I think that's a huge leap. And then the next piece of hardware I'd say you need to get yourself a headset, VR headset. If that could become as popular as the PlayStation or Game Boy or an Xbox, then we're halfway there. So that's my 2 cents on hardware.
I mean, I was gonna say the Quest 2. I was gonna specifically say that people need to get the Oculus Quest 2, the headset. I think that's like an avenue of gaming that a lot of gamers are not aware of, that a lot of people are not, clued up on. Like, it's a really great piece of device to have. And it's just like a great, like, new gaming experience that you could have for yourself, whether it's just you or you and your friends and all of that stuff. I think it's a an item that people should start adding on, their Father's Day list, boyfriend of the year gifts type of thing. Even anything, just a Valentine's gift to your girlfriend, just give her that headset and everyone is happy. So yeah, that's my item.
Yenzi, you seem a bit shocked there.
No, Father's Day gifts are below 100 rand.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Below 100 rand. Wow.
100 rand. Never. No, a cup
Please
is
value our
perfectly fine.
fathers.
A cup is perfectly fine.
It's a great investment though. It's not just like you're spending 10K to, just play games. It's really a great investment. Outside of playing games, there's a lot of other stuff that you can do there. You can just use it as other things, man. Like you can watch videos in there. You can watch 360 content in there. You can
travel. You can learn.
Yeah, you can. There's so much you can do on there. It's not just limited to playing games. So you'd be actually investing in, new technology.
Yeah, you'd actually be bettering yourself because outside of just maybe the game's point of view, the learning retention or memory retention when it comes to VR is increased by 70%. So whatever, let's say you spoke about you struggle with JavaScript. Imagine learning it in VR, without the distractions of your cell phone, your laptop, or the outside world in this immersive headset. You'd probably be able to understand it better, or even to articulate it a bit better. So it's literally that. And with COVID right now, we don't know if borders will ever be open, if we ever be able to travel without COVID passports and stuff. So right now, if you really can't do that, get yourself a headset. You can travel to Tokyo, Japan. You don't need a visa, and you can experience it for yourself. It's mind-blowing.
Thank you so much for
all good things gotta end.
Sorry?
No, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
All right.
At least we could share stuff from our world.
Shame given. You feel like you never get to share.
I mean, I do, but the more the better.
Hey.
The more the better.
But sorry.
Be like that, man.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.